I want to go back to giving power to other
Yeah.
people's thought, because I have analyzed that a lot, because I used to give a lot of importance on what other people will think.
Yes.
Okay. So two things. One is some people's opinion, who maybe you have a friend and who doesn't want you to switch career. Okay. They are also human. Remember, you switching career will remind them that they are not taking the steps to transform their life.
Yeah.
And you are trying to value that opinion because you give too much power
To the person.
to that
So-
opinion. Okay. So if it is hurting a lot, you don't have to sever the friendship, but you need to reduce the power you give to that thought.
Totally.
And another thing is, so we are in England. So Queen of England used to rule the world, right? But Queen died, and probably this is the only time you are thinking of her because I just mentioned it. So we are all mortals. We are gonna die. So just do the stuff that matters to you, because no one's gonna remember you in 3 generations anyway.
Oh, completely. I think it's a super valid point. You phrase it very well. That was my second point as well. So for me, there is one thing that I want that comes straight and very clear to everyone.
Yeah.
Despite people reached a specific position in the hierarchy or wherever industry or even in life, they don't know shit. And let's start from that point. No one can predict who you will be, and no one can tell you will become X or Y. It's completely in your hands. And it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's freaking hard.
Yep.
And I remember many nights and many weekends where you bang your head on the wall because it doesn't work, because you don't know where to look or where to think about, and is completely a show more than once in during this path. But no one can tell you, no, you won't be able to do that, because that for me was my fuel. The fact that people were telling me, no, you're not going to make it, that for me was something, because I'm a fighter inside. So for me, it doesn't exist. There is no such thing. Oh, you won't be able to reach that. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how long. It will take probably for me twice as much as any other people, maybe because I'm not that smart, or maybe because I don't have the background that other people has, but we'll make it. And I don't care how much I will suffer and how much hard it will be, I will make it. If you start to think about the prize at the end, you become unstoppable. And for me is the way, for instance, when I write a book that is 2 years work and is super tough, you know that. It's super tough because you basically do on top of your job, you do after working hours, your brain is completely screwed up, and you start to instead to rationalize certain thoughts. And it's very complicated. And the only thing that makes me move is the fact to say, okay, so I did a paragraph today, tomorrow I do another paragraph. At the end of this period, I will have a book in my hand. The moment that you reach that part, is like you are freezing in front of you, because you have that artifact that seems just some papers and some pages with some words. But the reality is basically 2 years, 18 months or 10 months of work that you have done, all your knowledge, all the things that you have thought, all the things that you have preached for several years in that small artifact. And that is the moment that you realize, I've done something here that is really important, despite that we be a bazillion people reading that or just one person. But that very moment that you hold your art for your goal in front of you, you realize that, oh, that is like, I reached something that 18 months ago I couldn't make it. But more importantly, the person that you are after 18 months is not the person that started 18 months before.
I love it. People are jealous of what you have, but not jealous how you got there.
Yeah.
I think what you said is discover your why.
Yeah.
Okay. And then use that as your cornerstone to reframe the hardships.
Yes.
For me, it was, okay, I reached a point that I have to switch career now or never. Okay, and then I know you wanted to talk about that. So I had a choice whether to stay in mainframe and get promoted, become a manager, or I take a big risk, go to cloud, go to totally new team and prove myself and go to a different journey. But that my why was I want to be more fulfilled. And I knew if I did not take that chance, I would regret it when I am like 60 or 70. Okay. So even though I was studying every night and failing because it's very different, right? Some of this technology,
Oh, yeah.
mainframe versus the cloud, I'm like, but that is my why. That kind of fueled me to go forward, right? And it seems like that's you have discovered your why, and then you can reframe the hard times because that keeps you going.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I think the hard time makes me super strong in general because, yes, if you think about how I felt when I was 16, between 16 and 20, that 4 years there
Yeah.
was super rough.
Yeah.
was-
No, sorry to interrupt, but yes, I think for the viewers who has gone through some struggles, everyone has gone through
Yes,
some struggles.
you did.
Like if you are in mid 30s, you have gone through some. Remember those moments and let them fuel you.
Yes.
I have a quote on my back in my studio which says that I will do things that other things I cannot. Okay, so people thought, okay, I'll be skinny my whole life. Okay, people thought I'll just be on the legacy technology, just carry the ladder and be like whatever. I'm like, okay, they thought I could not do any of these things. So my first interview I gave, it was so bad. The interviewer told me, Raj, do you have a stuttering problem? And what are you going to do to fix it? So
Yeah.
I was so bad. And I'm like, I have to prove that person wrong. And I can prove him wrong by going on the stages and talking in front of hundreds of people who will pay good money to come and attend the talk.
Yeah.
I'll prove him wrong by creating multiple courses and teaching others. And I write down some of these achievements.
Yes.
And I'll show you on my phone. I have a checklist that I thought other people said I cannot do it. And then I look at it because sometimes when you are doing things, you forget where you come from.
Yes.
And then you are like, oh, there is so much to be done. I have not achieved anything. But at those moments, you need to go back and look at your what you have done list. Like, for example, people think I'm a Kubernetes expert. So now maybe I am. But 10 years back, I did not know what is Node, what is pod. I thought I will never master this.
Yeah.
Right? When I was starting to do a bench press with just a 45-pound barbell, I'm like, oh my God, I would never be able to put a plate on. And when I did that, I wrote it down. Right? And then when I doubt myself, I feel like I have not done that much. And then I look back at that list, that how far I have come, and that kind of propels me.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I had the same back in the days when I started, because as I said, the problem in Italy, we didn't have Amazon.it.
Yeah.
Right? And we have in my hometown just one international library, so we didn't have many things translated in Italian, and the translation was very poor, or the book was very old in general, because before they translate from English takes like forever. So often what I did was buying books on Amazon.com, paying a fortune for having those books. And because I didn't know English, because if you ask me, for instance, to describe what I ate yesterday night, I struggle with my English. But if you ask me how, I don't know, what are the internals of a Lambda function in AWS, I can talk for 1 hour easy. Because I learned English on the books with vocabulary close to me, and basic physical, not digital like now. And every night I was reading a couple of pages because I was super slow on highlighting. Okay, this means that, mean that. And on top of understanding the technical concept, I need to understand also, let's say, how it was written and why it was written in certain ways, that word and the sentence, what the meaning behind that, the grammar behind that. Super slow. But I had 3 ideas in my head that I want to achieve in my career. And to be honest, you think big, real big at the beginning, because I was 20.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything, so why not? So I had working for a FANG company,
Yeah.
writing a book for O'Reilly, because the only book I could buy was from O'Reilly in Amazon.com, and they were super good. There were these people that genius for me, because it's not easy to write a book, especially there weren't too many like today.
Hard.
And there wasn't like socials or the other stuff that we basically chat with through the forums, if you remember that, very asynchronous manner. But it was super cool, because I remember it was like going in a FANG, working, creating a book for O'Reilly, writing a book for O'Reilly, and then being known worldwide. Those were the 3
You have
things.
achieved all 3, Luca. Now what?
That's the thing. So I didn't expect, honestly, to achieve, let's say, was 4 or 5 years ago when I achieved this stuff.
Mm.
And and if I think back what were the last 22 years of my career, and now that I don't know, I walk in on a stage on a keynote of all the most important conferences in the world, especially in my home country, I had the pleasure to do that, quite few of them. And I feel extremely fortunate. Many people think now that I'm not reachable, or people that are afraid to speak with me because of what I've achieved. While I'm completely the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm extremely friendly. I'm sympathetic with the idea that people are starting, so I want to help them. There's many people that, let's say, remove the fear to reach me out. I'm doing the extra mile, trying to say, okay, you should look into that. You should. And I have some people that I met at conferences, even in Italian conferences recently, that became my good friends, and we chat on WhatsApp or wherever. But I think the point I want to make is that the idea of having, let's say, these free or few things that you want to achieve, despite they seems unachievable, despite the age, are extremely important to, because everyone can have, it doesn't have the straight line that you can achieve because,
Right.
oh, you do this, you do that, and you reach that. It can be very complicated. Everyone has a different background, comes from different past experience, and therefore it's important that we highlight that if you have the strength, the discipline, and you really want to achieve that, no matter how many obstacles you have in front of you, no matter how many people will tell you, no, you're not good enough, you're going to make it. You are going to make it because you want it. And that's the power of tricking your brain to say, yes, it's a failure today, but it's not going to be tomorrow. And the failure is not a negative thing necessarily.
Yeah.
Because especially in tech, and this is a discussion I had like recently with another person. In tech, we think, oh yeah, you need to do university, you need to do this, you need to do that. But the reality is we are working in an empirical world. It's not scientific. It's not that we take, oh, a bit of Ruby here and a bit of JavaScript there, and it will create the most amazing website every time. No, it's not like that. It's like completely empirical. When you work with an empirical system, you work with trial and errors.
Right.
And trials and errors are part of the system, are part of the journey to reach the optimum or what you can reach in whatever time frame that you have. And this part is probably the part that people struggle the most, because they need to understand that errors is part of the journey. It's not a negative thing. In many cultures, especially in Italy, but many, let's say, South European and South American countries, the failure, like, oh, I created a startup and failed, oh, you are a failure, you're a disgrace, stuff like that.
Southeast
Same.
Asia.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
It's not the reality. That is part of the journey. We need to cheer up because we tried, we learned something. That's the most important thing. The failure is by itself is not negative, but it's a moment that you learn something.
Yeah, it's okay to fail. Do not say you are a failure.
Yes.
I have a favorite quote. I'm going to paraphrase it. It's from Theodore Roosevelt. Is that a man in the arena? When you are in the arena, you are fighting and you are bloody and everything. It doesn't matter what people at the stands think.
Yeah.
What matters is you are fighting the fight. Okay, you are daring yourself to achieve something.
Totally.
And this is Italy and India, we love soccer or football. Okay. So you could be 3 goals down. Think of it as a eternal football match, a 50-year long football match. It's okay to be goals down. As long as you keep playing, you have not lost yet.
Yeah.
So keep playing.
Yes.
It's like you are in a career highway. Just don't take the exit and stop.
Yeah.
Just keep at it. None of this is rocket science.
Yeah.
You have made it from a factory, and I have made it from a very poor background, legacy technology. So if we can make it, anyone can do it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's super important. That's the message for me has to came out from here. The reality is, yes, it will be hard. And yes, you will bang your head on your wall more than once. And yes, you will have people that thinks that you are a disgrace, a failure, whatever. But that doesn't mean you're not going to reach that. The thing is, if you internalize all of that, you canalize all these bad thoughts or whatever towards what you want to achieve, you will make it no matter what. Because there isn't a thing that you cannot achieve. If I think in small, not even in career, like you were asking me before we joined here when I started to do content creation better, videos and photos, whatever. I was telling you, like, I started basically 2 years ago.
Incredible.
Because 2 years ago, I received feedback in Amazon during our 40 review. And first year, I didn't pay too much attention. It was one person. But the second year, I have 3 people saying, oh, Luca has written books and blogs and whatever, do talks, but it doesn't create content on videos. And I have no clue how to do that. Completely no clue. So I started in December I just bought one of the training that you find online, and I learned. It was like 15 hours more or less, not much, and I learned basics. I thought, okay, I do everything with my phone, let's start with that way. And then 6 months later, I cannot do exactly the cool things with my phone. And then I started to buy the first camera. I didn't even have an idea how it works. I screwed up. I think I changed, I don't know, 10 or more lenses to understand which one I need to take, that I wanted to have a specific look, because it was either focal length was too long, too sharp, or whatever. And nowadays I just have a very small subset of this stuff. I've sold everything that I bought at the beginning, slowly but steadily, and now I have the 3 lenses and 2 cameras. That's it. I have the right lights. I know a bit of, obviously I'm not an expert, but I started to improve a lot the narrative, storytelling, and that was in 2 years without knowing anything about YouTube, about videography, about picture composition, light, nothing at all. I remember how much I struggled at the beginning with DaVinci Resolve for video editing, post-production, and audio. It was insane. The amount of stuff that you need to learn for doing something that is epic, it takes forever. And I don't feel I'm doing anything epic at the moment, but I feel that I'm starting to get into the mindset 2 years later. And for me, that is the thing. You don't give up, because the moment that you take the exit, as you said before, you basically feel bad because you wasted time. Nothing is wasted. It's just learning that at some point you will reuse it for better or worse, maybe in things that you don't expect. But the reality is there are certain things that you believe the school cannot give you, or that the school is a waste of time. And one thing that if never happened to my daughters, that will ask me, okay, what now? I want to leave school, I want to do this, that. There is one thing that probably would have changed my perspective if someone would tell me, is the concept of time. School gives you time. That seems the most stupid things ever, or the most simple things ever, but it's not. Because when you are working, your time is basically shared with bazillion of thoughts around what you're doing, and you don't have time to think. And time to think is the most precious thing we have for creating, for thinking, for designing things, for everything, or thinking even what we want to achieve. And that for me is extremely important. Time is something that we need to carve out, no matter what, in our day, for ourselves, for being, let's say, the best version that we have. Because if we take that time to think, how can I be 1% better every day, the 1% better will become 365% better at the end of the year. And in 10 years, we'll be way more.
No, I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. So obviously it comes down to, you want to manage time, but to manage time, you have to have some time.
Yeah.
So it's like investment, right? Yeah, you want your retirement to grow, but you have to start with something. So people often ask me, hey, how am I doing all these things? So one of the biggest trick I do is I do not watch television at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, and if I go to a party and stuff and people are discussing about a show or a movie, I just go to the bathroom, look up the show notes and how it ended. I come back out and I just join. Okay, now my secret is out, basically.
Yeah.
That will give you so much time back. And then you can use that time to study a little bit, right?
Yes.
And we talked about effort, discipline, your why. So all you need is a little bit of a roadmap. And as long as you can stay on it, that's it. You can achieve whatever you want.
Obviously, for everyone that are listening to us, we should provide, let's say, something that could help them to at least spark some ideas, spark some self-esteem. There is any, I don't know, resource or book that you have found helpful for you and change the way how you are thinking?
So it's more on the psychological side we are talking about, not the technical side. Yeah. So I read this book called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. It talks about some of the stuff we just talked about, the power of judgment, how to go over it, how to find your why, like what drives you, right? You have to figure out what drives you. Okay, you want to get more money, but what does that buy you? You have to go a little bit deeper. That changes how other people perceive me. How would that change? Oh, I will have a fancier car. Okay, so your why is elevate your status, right? So then you have to, that's totally fine. I like fine cars. So then you can use that as an anchor to reframe things so it can push you through hardships. The other thing that I use a lot, I like Alex Harm. So he's a businessman who went through a lot of hard times, used to sleep in gyms and stuff, and now he's a centimillionaire on the path to become a billionaire. He talks a lot of the stuff. So I used to the podcast. His podcast is called The Game. I really like it. Chris Williamson. So I use a lot of podcasts. I do not go read a lot of new books. I reread the books that I like.
Okay.
So I like the novel Ravikant's book. I have read it multiple times. Alex Hormoz's book, right, on the podcast. So those are some things that I use as resource to move me forward. How about you, Luca?
For me, without any doubt, the book that completely changed the game for me, I read it when it was like 1 or 2 years that I was in London, and it was called The Spirit of Kaizen. Kaizen is Japanese, it means continuous improvement. And the idea of doing small but actionable things constantly helps a lot. There are nice techniques that I applied over the years in companies in order to improve the situation and also improve myself that are incredible. That's why when you were saying, oh yeah, we break in Lego bricks, I immediately thought about Kaizen. And Kaizen is like a fantastic story that comes from before the Toyota system. So Kaizen basically is the foundation of the Toyota system. It was after the Second World War in Japan when they need to recreate the economy. Americans came and explained a few things, and then Japanese start to master that art and created this continuous improvement mindset that was taken by many others worldwide. But the Spirit of Kaizen definitely is the book that I recommend to everyone because it's actionable, it's incredible what you can do with small things, and it helped me a ton on rethink about how I should approach life.
I have to read it now.
Absolutely. So shall we move to some actionable things that people can put in practice based on what we have done?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll talk both on the technology side as well as the mindset side. Yeah, so for the technology side, if you are looking to move into the area that me and Luca are in, you want to get a job at FANG, so figure out a pathway and see what are the overlapping areas. Let's say, for example, you are a database admin and you want to become a solutions architect. So start with the overlapping areas of AWS with database and storage. So master that and try to do some proof of concepts on that and showcase that in your GitHub, right? So it's the same theme that have a big goal, then break it down into smaller actionable chunks, okay? Another actionable item is start small, like just have 15 minutes a day study and you can skip the weekends. And I promise you, if you study for 15 minutes a day every weekday, next week it will be longer. Okay. And don't be hard on yourself. Most of my viewers have like family, jobs, and stuff. So, one thing you have is time and comfort. Like you are not getting fired for studying in the evening. Okay, so you can take your time. And now we are talking about like the economy is not looking so good. This is the perfect time to upskill yourself because after every dip comes the boom. Yeah, how about some of your tips?
I think for me is discipline and iterations. So discipline because you can definitely, and I think we are the living proof, more smarter people than us that maybe can reach faster what we have done. But because we were disciplined and we did constantly and iteratively small chunks of work every single day, and I'm still doing, to be honest, because I know that when you reach a certain point, then it doesn't mean that you will be there forever and ever. You need to constantly prove that you are advanced, you're moving, and not only to people, but mainly to yourself. I think that is an important thing. And the other thing that seems not related, but instead is extremely important, especially in the last few years. I think I started to appreciate more, probably because I'm becoming older, is visualization. Because the fact that we were talking about like cheering up for small wins and understanding what are the low light of the day and how you can become a better version of you and stuff like that. If you visualize, you help your brain to connect because our brain is not designed for remembering; it's designed for connecting. And therefore, if you jot down everything that is happening or something meaningful that you have, and you start to visualize that, you can rationalize better where is the path. Even sometimes, I remember when I had to take a decision, I go to AWS or I go to another company, have an offer, I visualize that things. What are the pros? What are the cons? What can I gain? And that is, I just iterated through multiple days and I started to add and remove pros and cons. And then at the end, I said, okay, let's go with AWS. But it wasn't something like, let me put a finger in the air, let's figure it out. So it was like intentional, that is very important. And you know why you are doing that. So the moment that you are in, you start to be more conscious of, okay, so I was here for this moment. So let's try for these things. Let's try to move towards that direction. And that helps you also to achieve what you expect inside the job, or I don't know, new things that you learn, stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, another thing is don't suffer on your mind. Suffer in reality when it comes to it, if you have to. A lot of my students say, what if I study this and nothing happens? What if I do this and nothing happens? Do the thing first, okay? And then if you come to that crossroad, you can take that call. Some of my students say, oh, my company is paying me this much. If I study cloud and get a cloud job, will they be pay me more, or do I have to take a pay cut? I'm like, look, first do the studying, then interview, get the offer letter, and then we can talk about salary. So, like sometimes as a human, we suffer a lot in our thoughts. That kind of paralyzes us from taking actions. Just do small actions, right? And then if you need to suffer in reality, then we can navigate that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I would like to close this one with two key things. The first one, your past doesn't define your future.
Yes.
Your action do. Therefore, it's important that we highlight that despite where you're coming from, despite the challenges you had to growing up or whatever, let's say the country, the city where you're coming from, that doesn't mean that has to be forever. It's your decision, it's your choice to do that. And the second thing, doing the first step is the hardest part of the journey. But when you do that, you will see that it's not that scary. I think for my encouragement to everyone is start today, because tomorrow is too late. Today is the right time. And to be frank, there isn't ever a right time for doing something. So just start, and then you will figure out during the journey.
No, I love it. Yeah. And like whenever you achieve something, hook to it. When I'm doing something hard, I visualize that I'm in the gym and I'm getting crushed under 225 pounds when I'm squatting. And then I visualize I am pushing through, the sweat dripping. The world is telling me that, yeah, you cannot rise up under that weight, but yet I rise. Like I visualize that the hard times when my parents did not have a job, or I was made fun of because of my physique, and when I came to US, things were hard because it's a new country. But then I visualize that I went through all the obstacles. And if I could have done those things, this stuff is easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what you said, I totally agree. Hardest part is to get started, but we are the living proof. I don't know what the camera is, so that's how I looked. If you and I have done it, so can you. I am not a genius by any measure.
Trust me.
Yeah.
I don't even speak proper English. So if I made it, everyone could.
You and I both have accents.
Yeah.
Right? Yet we spoke at major conferences in the world. I have spoken in like US as well. I just spoke in London.
Yeah.
Right, in front of packed crowd where people were just standing up. And so have you.
Yeah, totally. So thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed these tips from me and Raj, and that was helpful, and hopefully it will help you to move and do this first step today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Luca. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Raj.
Yeah, take care.
You see, I'm not the only one obsessed.
That's right.
That's the cool part.
Is Italian the same throughout the whole country? Like in India, we have different dialects.
Oh, yeah, in Italy as well, but it's city by city. It's not even.
But you guys can all understand each other.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think if I speak my dialect, or you hear someone in Sicily, maybe you can understand the sense.
But no, okay, it's like India. It's like in.